Hey there, I'm Loz, and today I ask you this: are you living your most authentic life, or are you just living a big fat lie? So, what do I mean by this? Let me put some things into perspective for you. Myself, right now, I'm 34 years old. I'll be turning 35 next year. And I would say for the first time in my entire life, I am actually living a life that I love, that is 100% authentically me. Yes, I have a microphone, but I am loud. But other than that, for the first time in my life, I can 100% say that I am living a life that I'm passionate about, that I love, and it represents everything that I stand for and the values that I have. Now, before this time, for my entire adult life, I have been basically living a huge fat lie. Let me take you back a little bit. I'm the oldest child of 3 and was brought up in a military household. So my father was in the Navy to begin with, but then joined the Air Force, met my mother who's a nurse, and she came from a military family as well. Basically, I've thrived and been conditioned to thrive in very regimented living situations. So I guess I was really good at school. I followed processes, protocols to a T. I actually never even had a lunchtime detention. I mean, I was such a good kid, let alone an outside school detention. I think the only detention I'd ever had was when my entire class was put in detention in maths. But I didn't participate in the bad behavior. I was just a really good, solid kid. And having a structured life really helped me thrive. In saying that though, it really masked a lot of things that I didn't realize until I was an adult. I was sort of living falsely under. So as the oldest child of 3, as I said, I have a younger sister and a younger brother. So my brother is the youngest of the family. So there's a 4-year age gap between me and my sister and a 6-year age gap between me and my brother. So my brother and sister are really quite close, just in chronological age. I was always the tomboy. I used to actually wear boys' clothes, and I was always the kid that my dad wanted me to be. So growing up, my dad's love was probably the hardest to earn. Mum would always unconditionally give us hugs and kisses. She was actually quite outwardly grateful for love and support, and she expressed that with, acts of service and making dinner, making breakfast, cooking lunches, doing the washing, all those things. And my father did a lot of that stuff too. My mum was a working mum, and my dad, when he left the military, actually stayed at home to look after us as we were at school, and would always do the school pickups, do a lot of our lunches, do a lot of our dinners. The thing is, as the oldest child, I felt like I had to impress my dad quite a bit to get that love out of him. He was quite a structured guy. He'd been in the military since he was 15, so he had a lot of problems showing emotion. And for me to earn that love and that validation from him, he'd always tell me that he was proud of me, all those sorts of words of affirmation that, I was smart and I would do all these great things. I kind of lived up to that for him. So I tried really hard at school, and basically through high school, I modeled my entire career path on joining the military, like my dad, doing all the things that he wanted me to do. I did physics, for goodness sake, things that I thought that I was supposed to do to get that outcome. Inherently though, I really love drama, I love dance, I love the arts, I love music, I was playing lots of sport. I was absolutely a high achiever, hence the title of this series of vlogs. Always a high achieving kid, always trying to impress my father, because that's how I got validation as a child and the love that I thought that I needed. My sister was a little bit similar, but she had a bit of the middle child syndrome, and my brother is the absolute opposite. He don't give a shit. He just is here on this life in this life to have a good time. He's not an underachiever by any means, but he lives his life by a different set of values. And I guess being the youngest child and being the only boy kind of fostered that in him. But here I am being the high achieving kid, thought that this is the person I needed to be. In my adult life, that sort of translated in a very similar fashion, but it started to fall apart when I sort of turned 18 and I went through that early 20s stage. I noticed that at uni, even though I lived on scholarships, like literally through my entire uni career, I changed degrees freaking 4 times in 5 years, couldn't get my shit sorted, had no fucking idea what I actually wanted to do because I thought I had to do one thing, and as I kept trying to do that, I realized bit by bit, year by year, that it really wasn't in me. So, you know, I had a scholarship for this and a scholarship for that, I had a scholarship for IT, and then I got on the honors roll for like humanities when I started changing. Long story short, I started off in the area of IT, sort of a science-based degree, ended up in humanities, and the only way I could actually consolidate 5 years of study, because I changed my fucking mind so many times, was to get an arts degree. I never went to uni to get an arts degree, man. I got an OP3, and if you don't know what an OP3 is, or an OP system is, that's bloody high. The highest you can get is a 1, and I think the lowest you can get is like a 26. So I was a smart kid, did really well, tried to impress my dad, tried to get his love and support, did all these things, set myself up for all these goals, ended up realizing somewhere in my mid-20s that science really wasn't where I was sitting. I was a little bit more creative and I was a bit more of a people person. So it didn't end for me there though. I was still leading a very inauthentic life. So I went into business with my father, selling mobility equipment, and I've been in that business since 2007. Now, since then, my father and I have fallen out. Unfortunately, we had a bit of an incident and he hasn't spoken to me since late 2015. So about this time, but back in 2015. So that's 16, 17, 18, 19, that's 4 years, man. My dad hasn't fucking spoken a word to me. He doesn't even want anything to do with me. That's another story. But through that journey, through my dad disconnecting with me, it's actually given me space to breathe and really find my true calling in life. So now I've realized that I'm not all about science. Yes, that's become a very integral part of the person that I am. It's a very masculine energy. My business success has 100% been attributed to me being able to create policies, procedures, structure, engaging with people at a different level and being articulate. You know, being articulate is not necessarily a masculine energy, but certainly the way that I communicate, my ability to write reports and be quite analytical in my processes and very pragmatic, that's a masculine part of me. But through the process of this whole journey of transforming myself and learning and developing and doing lots of things like personal development, I read a lot of books, I listen to a shit ton of podcasts, you know, all about improving yourself. Dr. John D. Martini, absolute legend, one of my biggest mentors, Tony Robbins, Brendan Burchard, Rachel Hollis. They all talk about stop worrying about what other people say and just follow your heart. Find the things that drive you, that build a fire in your belly and make you want to move and do things and take action. You know, since my dad has actually left my life in that way, he's still always going to be my father, and I love him and I thank him deeply. I'm so grateful for the lessons that he has taught me. He's been my greatest teacher. I'm finally able to be myself. You know, I don't give such a shit about a lot of those things. I've realized that my actual strength and my integrity as a human being is to be a teacher. It's to inspire others, to create abundance, and to be authentic as well. It's taken a lot of soul searching, a lot of breaking down my value systems, my belief systems about myself and the world, and really working out what fears were driving me. My dad taught me that security and money were the absolute way that you needed to live your life. Having both of those things, money was security, assets were security, tangible wealth, tangible things. Man, I have freaking everything that I need tangibly. My husband committed suicide in 2016. We'd been together since 2005. So it was 11 years. That was a huge pivotal point in my life. It was not long after I had that incident with my father. You know, my father had disconnected, my husband had killed himself. Really, I have hit absolute rock bottom, and I'm so grateful for the support network that I've had to help me get out. That was how I learned to discover who I was authentically. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go through such a life-changing, momentous experience to really work out who the fuck you are. What I am saying though is now's the time to sit down and really think, is my life going in the direction that I want it to go? Do I have momentum? If I have momentum and am I moving at the trajectory that I want to be moving in, you know? Because you can have heaps of momentum, you could be freaking running on the spot, but then you could shoot off in the wrong direction. You know, you're going north, south, east, or west. Maybe you're trying to go north, but you're going south, west, and east to get there. You know, what does your ideal life look like? And more to the point, what does it actually feel like inside? What are the feelings that it gives you? You know, because it's not about chasing money. It's not about chasing tangible stuff. It's about the intangible. What is your skill set? What can you teach people? I want you to think about that. Really, sit down and think about that. Make an assessment of your life right now. And then let me know how you go. I'm really curious to see, you know, what your thoughts are on where you are in your life. Because you shouldn't be living a lie. Other people's opinions, as Rachel Hollis says, are none of your business. And if you want to leave this earth, one day you're going to take your last breath, the last thing you want to be thinking about is, did I do enough? You know, the biggest regret people have on their deathbed is inaction. I deal with death regularly. I've had 3 people die in the last week that were customers of mine in my mobility business. So I'm around it all the time and I hear it. People regret not doing enough, not spending enough time with the people that they love and the things that they wish that they'd spent more time on, the things that matter that they give 2 shits about. Are you spending too much time trying to be somebody that somebody else wanted you to be? Give it a thought. I'll see you next week.